Yes, a very good afternoon to everyone and a very good morning to Mr. Andreu Ibanez. I take the privilege to thank you for accepting our invite to interact with the students of Gurukul Global School, Chandigarh. In this online session, I thank our President, Ms. Neena Sethia, our Managing Director, Mr. Praveen Sethia, for the inception and structuring of GAMA, Globally Ask Me Anything program, which will provide students a wonderful platform for enhancing knowledge by interacting with dignitaries and experts from different areas. Today is a special day for us, as it happens to be Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is a tradition dedicated to all the spiritual and academic gurus or teachers who are evolved or enlightened individuals, ready to share their wisdom amongst us. Gurukul Global School is a structurally rich mosaic, serving each student by providing a nurturing potential to develop original thoughts. We aim to develop motivated and collaborative learners who become responsible and innovative global citizens. Our school possesses an excellent infrastructure that lends it an edge and provides a conducive environment for teaching and learning. Our utilization of smart classes has enabled us to use a variety of teaching styles catering to the specific learning needs of each student. During the COVID times, we were the first school in Tri-City to have hybrid classes with synchronized online and offline teaching. We shall continue with our forward-looking approach towards education. Today is one such event in which we are giving a platform to our students where they can ask anything from our chief guest. So now I encourage my students to make full use of this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Andreu, to start the session.
Good morning, everyone. The first question that we have today for Mr. Andreu is by Janvi Mehta from 9th B. Do we have Janvi Mehta from 9th B?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. So, my question is that according to the latest issue coming up of Google Assistant, that they're recording each and every query which we put on, and so it can cause many issues related to it. So, how can we be alert toward it?
So let me say first that I am not a spokesperson of Google. So I run communities, but I don't work for Google. So this is a very special question. I believe that most of the big companies are listening, reading, plenty of things that we do. But I also believe that at least some of them, and Google is one of them, that are using the data they get from us I would say in a good way. In this case, what they do is use that kind of recordings for improving the technology. So the point is that at some moment people do not read the typical little phrases saying this is the regulation. Please read me. No one reads that thing. But here it those lines says maybe at some point we will record your voice just to improve the system. So it's more a question of I would say of news. People from news need news to fill up newspapers and websites. So I think it's good that they do that. It's needed that we know that they are doing that. But I would say, for example, not in the Google ecosystem, in another ecosystem. I don't want to talk about other companies. Maybe at some point they use that kind of stuff for sending you targeted publicity, and this is not good. When you feel that someone has listened to your words and suddenly they are sending you publicity with these words, then you feel amazed. This is not happening at Google, as far as I know. But the point is that at least they use that technology, that way of recording, just for improving the situation. They have plenty of people, and I know very well, they have plenty of people in India and some other places in the world, of course, that are listening continuously to that kind of recording just to improve the system. So I think it's a good thing.
Thank you for the great answer, Mr. Ibanez. I'd like to interrupt this Q&A session and open the stage for Mr. Ibanez for his words of wisdom.
So yes, I can explain you many things. First of all, I have to say one question is that I want to say thank you to Merul, because he invited me to this event, and also he's been a great student with us. And I'm not talking about the past, because he's still doing stuff with us. And this year, Merul has surpassed not only being a student, but he's now a mentor in organization. So he's having his own role in the Google ecosystem, doing mentorship to other students worldwide. That's very important, and it's a very, very nice case. I appreciate your work, Merul. I always say that, and thank you. So yes, I am in the south of Spain today, in Cartagena, Murcia. We are here doing the very first presential event in Spain. We've been 1.5 years doing nothing presential, when usually we have 3 events every month. But for the pandemic worst days, we did no one. And now we are here with only 400 people in a very large auditorium. For 3,000, we are only 400 people seated there with 3 meters between each person. And we are doing the very first Google Developers Europe event for artificial intelligence. We bring there 47 speakers from around Spain, and we are having continuous sessions talking about different sides of the artificial intelligence, I would say, business, from developing to using it for different technologies. Yesterday we have, for example, a very nice presentation from a guy that is running the rights for the television of the football in Spain, and they explain us how they use artificial intelligence to catch on the net other people using the images and videos, and just to denounce it. I mean, because no one has the right but them. And it was a very nice demonstration of using the power of artificial intelligence, because they have to be looking at all the images. Imagine the thousands of videos that are sending every minute to YouTube, and they analyze those videos. They try to match if those videos are the same than there, and then they have to make against the justice. They have to say, this video is us, and you don't have the right to have it. And another question, and that's the last I will have now, is that we are half of the 47 speakers, half are women, and this is very important. We try always, as in your lovely introduction, you say, I am WomenTechMaker ambassador. This means that I have a figure in the Google ecosystem, that we try to have more women in technology and science, and we bring there half of this many big speakers team. Half of them are women, and they are doing very nice speeches and presentations also. So nothing else for me, and I'm ready to get other questions from you.
Thank you so much for your words. So we'll have it open to a Q&A session again. And yeah, so the next question we have is from Anika Gupta from 9th B. Also, before the question, I would like to mention that it's actually quite interesting that most of the questions that I'm seeing are actually about artificial intelligence. And it's a great coincidence that you are about to have this talk regarding artificial intelligence anyways, and most of them actually line up with that specific viewpoint.
Yeah, sure. So my question is, with gradual increase in artificial intelligence, human power is being neglected in various fields. We can see that artificial intelligence is taking over several tasks, mental and physical. So will artificial intelligence continue to gain more prominence than human intelligence, and will it lead to deprivation to human resources?
Thank you for the question. So I have to say, how many of you have seen the movie Terminator? I would say a very old movie with something like 4 or 5 different movies. I will say that this is not, from my point of view, this is not what is happening actually. Artificial intelligence is something really old now, really old. I mean, the very first steps in artificial intelligence maybe are 40 years old. The only different question is that now artificial intelligence, thank you for the amazingly huge power of the data centers and some slight pieces of software that are not much than 5 years old. This is not increasing the capacity. But believe me, we are not ready at this time. We cannot say that artificial intelligence is going to be more intelligent than us for many years. Artificial intelligence is very good at some questions, but still it's in infancy. So I'm not scared anyway of using it. Let me say one question, for example. Maybe all of you know about the GPT-3. That's the latest invention from the OpenAI ecosystem. This is a company in US that was created by Elon Musk and now is almost owned by Microsoft. And they just launched the GPT-3, that it's a very enormous machine learning model that has plenty of language capabilities for interaction. And it's very nice having a conversation with that machine. But at some point, the machine, when you are trying to interact with the machine says, before the machine gives you the answer, the machine says, I'm thinking that what I'm going to say now is something strange, so be aware of what I want to say. And the machine gives to you the option of listening the next words, because their own machine is knowing that the software is going to say something that is not correct. So I will be not scared. It's gonna take a long time. But the question, maybe the most important question, is that you all as the student, you have the capability of having access to certain technologies like open source stacks for artificial intelligence, like TensorFlow, that it was originally created by Google, but now it's open source, and also access to this enormous quantity of what they call TPUs. TPUs are the CPUs specialized on the artificial intelligence operations. And I would say that this, only maybe 10 years ago, imagine one PhD, one person that knows a lot and has been studying for many years, trying to do some kind of program. Students, only 10 years after, have thousands and thousands more power than this guy 10 years ago. Because this is the next point. 5 years ago, this has been starting to grow up. And now we are in a sweet point, but we are not reaching that point that the artificial intelligence is more intelligent than us. But the next point is that you all have access to this technology, and you all can create things that are really helpful for the people. Think about this. The most important thing is that you develop stuff interesting for the population, not for focus. You have to focus. And do not have fears about artificial intelligence doing bad stuff. No, have good feelings about you being able to have access to technology that was impossible a few years ago, and now you can do real nice things. 30 seconds more. Yesterday I presented, I presented at the artificial intelligence event that I am now. One project some students have developed. Merul is next to me on this. This is stuff for Google Summer of Code this year. We have 12 students from around the world doing projects with a very huge team of 30 mentors. And some students develop a case that has a TPU from Google, a Coral TPU. That's one of these specialized processors for artificial intelligence. And they do a machine that can make a photo of a plant and then identifies if this plant has a disease. And they know what disease is and what is the status of the plant. So think about this. You have access to technology that only a few years ago was not accessible. And now you have access to this, and you can create very nice things. This is the important lesson, I think.
Thanks for the great and elaborate answer, Mr. Ibanez. The next question we have is from Netik Wadwa of 9th B.
Actually, I have his question. I can read it out.
Okay,
Yeah, the question was, when we give permission to Google to access our personal files, can it potentially steal our data?
Again, at some point, we are in a situation in the technology that the only way to be not, I would say, spied is just throw it away. The first thing is your mobile phone, just keep it and throw it to the sea, 30 meters under the water. Or maybe put it on the street and allow 5 trucks going over your smartphone, just to crash it. If you have a computer, it's the same stuff. Just disconnect it from the network and use some kind of whatever stuff and broke it. So we are connected all day long. So it's impossible that the companies do not listen us, do not get our data, because this is the way we're living, and this is not going to change. So the answer is we have to believe. Google do not pay me any money for saying this. This is something I believe. There are companies that use our data in a, I would say, not a good way. There are companies that use the data in a regular way, and there are companies that use your data in very bad way. So just be aware of what technologies are using, and as Merul and I will offer to you is always use open source. Because using open source technologies means that plenty of people is taking a look at the code and seeing exactly what code does. And if someone inserts some kind of malware or whatever that sends you ad or get your data or whatever, plenty of people are seeing this. So if you use closed source software, this is bad. Of course, you have to do this. For example, I'm pretty aware that in India, you use plenty of Microsoft software. Microsoft software is amazingly good, but you can't take a look inside open Microsoft software because this is closed source. If you use technologies like Linux and other kind of open source stack you can use on Linux, at least you know that the software you're using is clean in the sense that plenty of A's, thousands or even hundreds of thousands of A's are seeing what's going on there. So this is my advice. Be careful what software you use. That's the point.
The next question we have is from Gauransh Garg of 9th B. Gauransh, if you could switch on your camera and unmute yourself.
My question is, can this ever happen? Google can start sharing random people's personal information with us.
So if I understand well your question, you mean that something you wrote, other people be able to read this personal stuff? This is your question? I'm not pretty sure, because I would say that the answer is the same. I am not a Google spokesperson, so I cannot talk on the words of the company. I don't work for Google. All of these are my opinions based on my, I would say, experience. Sometimes this happens just for a fail in the software, some kind of bug or whatever. But I don't want to believe that they are using this for bad. So if this happens, at least in the Google ecosystem, would be by some kind of faulty software. In other companies, in other situations, I could say, this is not normal. This happens not too much.
The next question is from Kriti of 11th Humanities.
My question for today is,
okay.
What are the different career options abroad in the field of AI?
Very nice question. So I would say that AI is changing a lot and so fast that maybe I would say a year ago, if you ask this question, people will answer you like you have to be a data scientist. That means that the most important role on any artificial intelligence project is to have the data needed for the project, because artificial intelligence stack software are, I would say, known, are easy, but always the most problematic question in any artificial intelligence project is having enough data. And when I say enough, it depends on the project. We say thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of whatever kind of data you're using for this project. So the point is that being a data scientist is a very, very nice option. And Of course, having knowledge of the typical, I would say, programming languages, because you can use almost any. All the artificial intelligence stacks can run on any language. I mean, you can start from Python to go to whatever you need, to whatever you want. But I would say the data is one of the most important things. The other question maybe is just to have the knowledge on the cloud stuff. When I say the cloud stuff, is that usually your artificial intelligence project will not run in a local computer or in a local server. Usually you will do this on the cloud. Why? Because you need plenty of power, of this TPU power to make the training of the model, and also what we call the inference, using the model, and usually need large numbers of computers. I would say thousands of computers to do this. So having a degree and special knowledge on the cloud, in this case talking about Google, you have to have a knowledge on what they call Google Cloud Console, for example. That is the place where all the cloud utilities from Google are located. But it's exactly the same from AWS, that Amazon Web Services, or the same for Azure, for Microsoft, or whatever kind of cloud supplier you say. So having a knowledge of the cloud environment, being a data scientist, I would say these two are very good careers for the future in artificial intelligence. But there are plenty of, but those two are very good.
The next question that we have is from Bhavtej of 11th Commerce.
Yes. So, sir, this question might sound a bit peculiar, I don't know, but in your opinion, what was that something special, or what was that something different that you did in your life that just made you different, that you reached such a point in your life?
But in my life generally, or you're talking about the technology side, so in the life experience, or
like in your professional life?
In the professional life. Well, I am a little bit old guy. I am reaching the 60, not another question. So I started in computers with when computers were something like very, very simple. I was the CTO, the second person in charge of a very old brand, but maybe you can know that because it is a little bit famous, that it's called Commodore. I was the CTO of Commodore in Spain. And asking this question, at the moment that I have the opportunity to show up my abilities to this company before joining the company, I would say I have pretty knowledge of the technology, because I passed long nights without any sleeping, understanding the all commands based on 8-bit GPUs, very old stuff, using assembler technologies that not one use now. Having this opportunity of being at my own room, that this exactly the same is happening to you at this moment, because we are in the pandemic, plenty of people is at home. So spending plenty of my nights just learning and learning how to use, learning about programming, learning about technology. It was pretty simple these times. But at the moment I have the opportunity to show up this to the managers of this company, and they see that I have a very large degree of experience on using the system. This was the key point, the change point, because I went from a regular, I would say, guy that I was 21 years old, and then suddenly I become a manager of a very large multinational company in Spain, and it happens only in a few months. So what can be the message? The message can be you are now we are all now in a very bad situation. COVID is making us a very bad times. But think that at the same moment, COVID is giving you the opportunity to stay at home and just having a good at least internet connection and a good at least medium computer. You have the opportunity of getting many knowledge we don't have on this on our past, this going back 35 years ago, because there was no internet. So you have all the internet at your hands, just staying at home. So you can learn whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want. This was impossible before. So please use this time on learning things that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy, just don't go there. Have fun, learn things, and then when this passes, and also, of course, you are still young, you have to learn many things at your school and later at the university, you will have more knowledge than other people that are passing the time just playing LOL or playing Fortnite or playing whatever. So please focus and study on these hard days from home. Use the enormous amount of information is on the internet, and you can be a hero in the future.
The next question we have is from Ishika of 11th Humanities. I'd like to narrate a question. Her question is, what are the psychological impacts of using ICT to teach learners?
So let me reframe the question a bit. So
yeah.
Ishika is asking that what are the psychological impacts of using information technology to teach learners in these times of pandemic and in general?
You know, it's been a very hard time, but I pretty want to believe that the thing is not about using the technology. The thing is about you being young people, don't having the opportunity to go away with other young people and have fun times. What I mean, you all, if you are here listening, you are technologists. I mean, you like technology. So I'm pretty sure that 3 years ago, before the pandemic starts, you all know how to use your smartphone perfectly, how to do a video conference. Maybe you were using Skype that no one uses now. And you were not using as much as Zoom or Meet or whatever we are using now, but at least you are used to use that kind of technology. But the bad point about this pandemic is that the young people has not the opportunity to stay with other young people having the typical playtime. So this is the worst. But please remember, this is not finished. We are in the middle of the pandemic. In Spain, 1 month ago, we were all happy because our ratio was just almost going, I would not say zero, but going to levels, very simple levels. And we all thought that we are going to have a relaxed summer. We can be going outside. We are going to have a nice vacation. But suddenly, young people, with the liberation of these kind of rotations, staying at home, not mixing with many other people simultaneously, wearing the mask. I'm wearing the mask, of course, but just for talking to you, I'm not using it now. So yes, suddenly young people go outside and they meet. And when they meet, they don't meet 3 people. They meet thousands of young people. And in places, even I would say tens of thousands of young people. And suddenly what happens? You know, the virus is this way. Suddenly we have now in Spain the baddest situation, the worst situation in the whole Europe. We are reaching the worst situation in all the pandemics. The only thing, very good thing, is we are not having the same amount of deaths because I would say in Spain we are one of the countries in the world that with more people vaccinated. We are very proud to say this. We are 60% of the population with fully vaccinated with the 2 doses. And more people having only 1 dose. And we are going so fast on this. But still, we don't have herd immunity now. You have to reach 70 or 80% of the population fully vaccinated to have this. So please stay home. Or if you are away, just wear 1 or 2 masks, better, and have social distancing, clean your hands, and be aware. So, because this is not end. And I can talk about I don't want to discuss how is the situation going. I mean, for your question, because every person and every country is totally different. You're in India. I know the situation in India because I listen to the news all day long from all the world. I like to be an informed person. But as Merol knows, because he's joined me on this for years, I have students around the world, and we have students in Canada that just a few weeks ago, this was not a pandemic, but this is the crazy moment of the world we're living. They suddenly have 50 degrees Celsius outside home, and hundreds, and they reach thousands of elderly people die suddenly because there was so hot outside the home. So in every place of the world, the situation is different, and to end, maybe the only thing you can do easily is to crash the Zoom servers. What I'm saying, use video conferencing all day long. Stay in contact with the other persons, with your friends, with your family, wherever you want. Because if we cannot go personally, we at least have the opportunity to talk and to share our thoughts or a situation. If you are bad, if you are feeling bad, if you have, please stay all day long communicating. Crash the Zoom servers, the Zoom Meets and whatever. Just, this will be what I say. Just stay in communication all day long. This is the most important thing. And not only using WhatsApp. I mean, saying words by text. Yes, looking at the people's face. That's important. Finish.
Great answer, Mr. Ibanez. The next question we have is from Ayush Raturi of 9th B.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, what is the impact of AI in application development?
Very good question, because this is a hot topic today. And I would like to invite Merul to have this confirmation. Merul, appear on the screen. Let's talk about GPT-3 and the GitHub new tool.
Yeah,
Copilot. Let's talk about Copilot, because Merul and me, we have been doing a podcast for a year now, and we meet every month and we discuss about technology. I hope some of you have seen our podcast. And let's have a 3-minute podcast. Merul, how are you today, Merul?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm fine too, here in the south of Spain. So Merul, did you listen about these guys of GPT-3 from OpenAI having a new software called Copilot? They do with the OpenAI stuff with the GitHub people. Do you listen about this?
Yeah, I know, and it was quite a controversy since people were extremely bothered. Like they're using all the code which is in public repositories on GitHub to train the models, but people were bothered that since there are a lot of non-free licenses and closed licenses which the code is public at, so they might land into some issues, and it was quite interesting. Honestly, I've given it a try.
Let's go 1 minute before, because our colleague asked a question like, we have to talk about artificial intelligence on programming and developing. So what's Copilot?
Oh, Copilot is a tool which uses AI to complete your code for you. So for example, you'll write a comment or describe a function, and then Copilot would come in and it would use its AI to just finish the function for you. And yeah, that's the gist of it.
But the point is that people are saying, oh, Copilot is going to kill the programmer's career. No, we don't need any longer, we don't need programmers. And this is false. Because the nice thing is that, yes, Copilot uses an enormous quantity of data they have from just reading the GitHub projects. There are millions of projects. And just the machine learn how to, if you're writing a function, you will write something usually at the end or at the next line. So it proposes to do, but believe me, Copilot does not how to program. It's a useful thing, and it's very useful for you young people, because do you have access, Merul, to GPT-3?
No, not as of now.
But you can, you can ask for access.
Yeah.
So please ask for access. Just go to openai.com and say, hello, I'm a student from India, and I want to train your amazing machine learning stuff. And they will think about, and maybe they open OpenAI for you, and then you have access to GPT-3, and you can start having conversations, not in your language, because as far as I know, I don't remember. I think it's not supporting. GPT-3 is only supporting English at this moment. I'm not sure. And then you can try Copilot, and it's a fun tool. But the question is that artificial intelligence is not going to replace programmers. But another question, maybe this is a very good one. From yesterday's one of the speakers here in the conference, a very good friend of mine, that maybe at that moment it goes from their bedroom and passes behind. He passes. I will make him so. So there is another kind of technology very interesting that it's called. It's a stack, software stack from Google, but other companies have another versions. That is called Automl. What means Automl? It means that it's a machine learning model that learns by itself. That's the typical stuff about artificial intelligence. That at some moment, artificial intelligence will start to think by itself. So this is Terminator movie. This is an old stuff. But the nice thing about Automl is that imagine you need to create a machine learning model for any use case you have. So instead of doing this model, you go to AutoML, that it's a part of Google Cloud Computing Engine, so you have to have access to Google Cloud. And also I have to say, you have to pay a little bit of money because it goes on the time of the machines you use. And ¿Qué está Juan Tomás afuera? Sí. Está afuera. Pero ya va a entrar. Le voy a hacer parar. Aquí un momento estoy hablando con estoy hablando de a ver si pasa. So my colleagues are just ending his breakfast and they are going to the conference. So I was talking about Google has this AutoML system that it creates by itself new models. So you don't have to write a new model, but it has the artificial intelligence level of knowledge ready to implement a ML model by itself. So it's a very fun stuff. So there are plenty of things in artificial intelligence. We are 47 different speakers from around Spain, from many different areas. Yes, there was a girl that passes now that she's doing some kind of weird stuff with plants at home. She uses some kind of sensors in the plants she has at home, and then she make a model to learn what's going on with the plants. And now this model is on Azure from Microsoft, and it's getting plenty of impact. It's a very nice thing. So I don't know if we answered the question, but we have a nice time. Let's go for the next one.
Thanks for the elaborate explanation, Mr. Ibanez. The next question we have is from Lavanya Kaura of 9th B. Do we have Lavanya Kaura from 9th B?
Yes, I'm there. Good afternoon, sir. My question today is that how is cyberbullying different from in-person bullying?
Sorry, could you please repeat your question?
Yeah, the question we have is from Lavanya Kaura of 9th B. Lavanya, can you please repeat your question?
Yes, sir. My question is, how is cyberbullying different from in-person bullying?
I will say I'm not an expert on that matter, because this is a very complicated matter. We have in the companies or in the communities, we usually try to have some kind of, I would say, psychologists, people that is very expert on that matters, because it's a difficult stuff. If you don't treat this from the very beginning with professionalism, we can go to bad places. So I'm not the good person to. I have my own opinion, of course, but I don't want to talk about it in the sense that my message will be: if you need help because you're having this problem, if you know any situation is having in other persons, any doubt you have, please reach professional help. I'm 100% sure that at your school or university, you will have always someone that is professional, psychologist with a specialty. Why? Because and this is, I'm going to say very bad words. I don't want to talk too much about this, but next step in a very bad bullying is about moment. People are killing itself. So it's terrible. So please reach help, professional help, and do not pass any situation continuously. If you see or you're having any kind of situation, get help from professionals at your school, at your family, whatever the place you're having the situation. Do not look for non-professional help on this, because usually those situations become worse. So always look for good professional help. This is the thing I want to say.
Great answer, Mr. Ibanez. The next question we have is from Ruhin Thakur of 9B.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is that nowadays a lot of devices use Wi-Fi and other connections. As a result, there are many radiations and waves around us. So can that be harmful for our brain?
I think that if you're not going to study physics, or you have that kind of lesson with a nice teacher on your lower education, you didn't get the opportunity. I hope you have, but lots of people didn't have the opportunity to know about the radioelectric spectrum. What means that? We are all day long, in every place you are, getting radiations from many different points. The first thing we got radiation is from the sun. And believe me, the radiations you get are not the ones you see, not the light, not the colors. The sun emits plenty of more kind of radiation. So look for the radio spectrum. I mean, the radio spectrum, it's called. So the answer is, if you are using any device that has Wi-Fi, your question was, is this can damage our brain, because we are using this very near. So technology, from the very beginning, it's developed, has to pass several companies, or I would say public administrations, that takes a look at what the technology you're using, if it's going to be bad for the body. Usually, in every country is different. But I would say the world standard is that the American public administration official places that are called, I would say, two different ones. One is FCC. This is the one that handles the communication in the US, and the other one is FDA, that handles is Federal Drug Administration. So one handles the radiomagnetic spectrum, and the other handles the health spectrum. So what I mean is that every machine you use, it's been a laptop, it's been a smartphone or whatever, they have to pass these two very strong tests for allowing the companies, being an Indian company, a Chinese company, finally they have to go through the US acceptation to be aware to be sold on the world. So those companies make very strict tests on the machines just to be not harmful for our body. So I am fully confident in that using my smartphone will not damage my brain, because it's been tested for a long time, and the standards of the communications say how much power you can irradiate from a terminal, just to not damage your brain or other places. So for the end, I am pretty sure on how the technology reach our hands before it has to pass many different tests, and for this reason, no device will harm you. This is what I can say.
We thank you for the great explanation, Mr. Andreu. Now, for the last question, we would like Mr. Andreu to choose the best question, what he seems is fit, so that we can award the best question to the student also. So, Mr. Andreu, you may answer the best question that you may seem is the most superior in this scenario.
It's a very different question you ask me. You are asking me. I can go for the technology side, but I would prefer just to stay with this lovely girl that gives me the bullying question, because this is a very important problem and we have to be aware of this and fight against it. So my best question is for that lady.
Thank you, Mr. Andreu, for the great explanation as always.
Yeah, sir, we have one question from our principal ma'am. So, principal ma'am, I request you to please ask the question.
All right. So, thank you so much. And being an educator and the head of the institution, I have just one thing to ask you. In an increasingly international world, what are some skills that you would like to see develop in the children?
Okay. Good stuff, because I say always that I'm a person that does not handle. I'm not a teacher, actually. I'm not a teacher. I'm a computer science specialist, and also I'm an architect. That I never went back to these studies. So I usually was in the beginning have architect studies, but then computers attacked me and I didn't go out. So two things. One is the world is big. Learn good English. But I know that your students have a very good English. I know this is a very good point in India. All the Indians have at least a regular, or at least they have. Believe me, if I bring here 50 students from the place I am, I will say that 30 of them will not speak any correct English. So this is a very good point. Just learn English, and if you can have a good English, this is a good point. And the other thing I will say is that the world is big. India is a very big place. You have, I don't remember, 1,200,000 inhabitants, billion inhabitants. Your country is enormous, but the world is bigger. We are almost 8,000 million inhabitants. So the point is that go away where you can. So learn about the rest of the world, because the world is big. And here I'm talking from the south of Spain, you're in India. We have students around the world is big, and be open-minded, because you cannot see only the situation in your